So you guys know I got a smoker, and you guys know every guy that gets a smoker has to do a brisket. It's one of those requirements. So today, it's time to do the brisket. Oh yeah, let's trim this baby up and get it ready for the smoker. Welcome to Bigfoot Cooking. Now, of course, once you get it out of the wrapper, the big next question is, what do I do with this giant hunk of meat? It is one of the primal cuts. You've got meat, you've got fat. You can go too much on the trim side, and then you've got a dry, hard brisket. You go not enough, and then it's kind of greasy and So how do you start with the trimming? Well, step one, you grab a knife. You got to have the knife for it. Now, as you look at the brisket, you may notice things like the butcher in this case, well, he lobbed me off an extra piece for some reason or another. But that's okay. I'll make something out of it. Don't worry. None of this is going to waste. Matter of fact, if you hang out while we're smoking this, we're also going to take and render the fat into tallow. That's right. You're getting two things of information today. So step one, as we look at this, you'll notice right here, this end piece, you're about a half to an inch thick on the meat. That is going to be really tough to cook out and not dry out. So we're actually going to trim this off. We're going to trim some of this fat. So instead of just talking about it, let me kind of get to the knifing and show you kind of how we're going to pull this down. Now, of course, we'll start out with this nice big piece of fat right here. Now you see how the muscle is kind of peeking out? That's kind of what we're after, is a little bit of something, but not just raw meat hanging out. So again, trimmy, trim, trim.
Love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running.
And here we have one giant slab of meat left. Now, are there those of you who can absolutely trim this up and make it look like a piece of art? Yes. Have I ever done a brisket before? No. That's right. We are both on a journey of exploration. Now, I've got this guy kind of trimmed back up and sucked in, and I probably got too much of the fat off the top. I wish I wasn't a little bit naked right here, but it's okay. You know what? We're going to throw it in a smoker and take our time. Now, from here, the question is, what kind of rub do you want to put on top of it? There are 10 million different flavors, but for this, we're just keeping it simple. We're doing equal parts of salt, pepper, garlic, and onion. That's right. We're going to use our homemade spag mix, just keeping it simple. And we are going to use pretty much the whole thing that we got right here. And we are just going to give this a nice little bit of love the whole way over it. All right, I have done the best I can do to hide the meat and make it look like a big old piece of seasoning. Now, while this is sitting here soaking in, I'm going to head outside. I did check this morning, my smoker is a little low on wood chips, so let's go ahead and load that guy up, get it kind of fired up, and get it ready for the brisket. Oh, yes. Yep, I was right. We're out of gas, but that's okay. We have more. We are fully charged. Let's get to some smoking. Now, before we get started, I'm gonna put a little water in the tray down here. This will help keep the smoke from overheating it. At least that's what the directions say. All right, so we got our chamber down here with water in it. That'll keep it moist while it cooks. That way you don't dry out your meat. I got it set on 225. We're gonna cook this low and slow. And once we get a little smoke going on, well, I'll go grab the brisket and we will load this puppy. Now, something that I was asked the other day was, how am I keeping the glass clean on the smoker? Well, two ways. One, every time I get done, I come out here with a little glass cleaner, hose it down, clean it up, and get it done. When that don't work, I get oven cleaner. I mean, let's go straight to the top. Spray it with a little oven cleaner and wipe it down. Cleans it out beautifully. So that is how you keep your glass clean on your smoker. That way, well, you can peek in here and see what's going on while we're waiting on the magic to happen. All right, we're lit. Now, in this case, I'm gonna set the brisket on the center one as opposed to next to the heat or exhaust. That way, you've got about the best chamber temperature. We're gonna plop this guy on right here, get it going, and ooh, we're gonna have us some nummy nums later. Now, of course, there's this discussion of whether you do fat side up, fat side down. Well, and I've heard both ways with this one, but I'm gonna stick with the fat side up because I hate to say it, that's how most people do it. And so we're gonna follow the ways that most people do. So there it is. I got my temp probe in it. We are gonna close the door, and basically this is gonna take several hours. So I hope you wasn't in a hurry for dinner, but I got my temp probe in it. Let's see, where are we at? Yeah, we're sitting at 45 degrees inside. We got a long way to go. So we'll let this sit, and let's head back inside, and we're gonna make some tallow. Now, while we're waiting probably 4, 5, 6, 7, who knows how many hours for the brisket to hit its stall temperature, then we'll wrap it. Let's go ahead and render this fat down into some tallow. Now, like you see, I've got this is really cool. This is a itty bitty crock pot, but there's 3 of them. I have used this thing for years, and it is freaking awesome. Today, we're gonna use it because I don't have a lot of fat, and I'm mostly doing this just to kind of show you guys. We're gonna use it to slow cook the fat down to get that tallow out of it, so that way, well, we've got stuff to fry things in now. So step 1, I'm gonna take all the fat I trimmed off of this and cut it into silver dollar nuggets, I guess you'd say. So let me chop it on the fast because, well, cutting fat's not that exciting. It's just, but it looks cooler if it's done quickly. So, boom shakalaka.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
And there you have it. A whole thing of tallow. Well, not yet, but soon to be tallow. Now this, well, I kept the meatier parts separate because that's a separate recipe, not something we're doing for the show today. This is what we're after. Now from here, we just set this thing on low and, well, we'll leave it until it melts down. Yeah, today's a lot of waiting. I'm waiting on the smoker, I'm waiting on the tallow, but at the end of the day, ooh, we got goodness coming. So, onward shall we tally?
Oh, I smell brisket. But he's got no water in the smoker. What gives? How can you make a good brisket when you let it dry out? That's okay. I'll take care of this. We'll just give it a few glugs right out of this old thing here. Oh, I can't wait to show up later. This looks like good eating. You know what? Since he's not paying attention to this thing, why don't we go ahead and hit it with a little apple cider vinegar? You know, if he messes this up, I'm going to be really, really upset.
All right, now I've had this going for a couple of hours, and like you see right here, we've got a pretty good render on it. But what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my immersion blender and kind of hit this and break this up a little more, because now that it's nice and jiggly and soft, it's easy to do, and that way we can get all of the tallow out of the fats. I'm not trying to make soup, but I'm just trying to break this down a little more. Now, on the front side, I suppose you could have taken the fat and froze it and run it through a meat grinder, and that would have helped, but in this case, well, we're doing it second step, so let's get to some mixification. Simple and piece of cake. I'm gonna let this go for about another hour, and after that, we'll strain it. So while this is looking good, my snack over here is looking pretty good too. Outside, smoke is doing great. I've had to top off the water twice now, and a couple of sprays of apple cider vinegar just to keep it moist, but ooh, later on, it's gonna be righteous. So I'll check back with you in another couple of hours. That's right, briskets take time. All right, took a little time, went to the garden, picked a few cucumbers. Yeah, let me know if you guys know what these are. Other than really good, the fact that they're yellowish, ought to throw it off. Cucumbers. So, let's see what we got. We have ourselves a whole lot of rendered fat here. Now what I'm gonna do, I've got myself a double strainer, and I'm gonna throw it through it first, because it's easy to do the big stuff right off the rip, but sometimes when you get into the smaller components, it takes a little time. So let's go ahead and scoop out our big pieces and get strain number 1 done. You know, I probably would have done better if I'd have got a ladle instead of trying to do it with a spoon, but oh well, live and learn. Now let's just pour off the rest of this. Whee! Well, that didn't end well, did it? All right, well, after a slight mishap, let's take, and we've got this pretty well worked through right here. I'm gonna dump it off to the side, hopefully without making a mess this time. I'm gonna go rinse this off, and then we'll see how what's left of our tallow does. We've got everything rinsed out and cleaned out. Now I'm gonna take my strainer. This time I'm gonna lay a paper towel in it because that's gonna be my filter for this process. That way we get out all the stuff that we don't want. And it's, you know, makes that nice, pretty, clear, white, whatever you wanna call it, tallow. So I've got this guy loaded and holding it with both hands so we don't do it again. We're just gonna pour this right into the paper towel, let it fill up. And basically from this point, well, we give it plenty of time to soak, settle, relax, take an hour or 3, whatever. But at the end of this, I'm gonna have really clear tallow, and that's exactly what we're after, getting all the little contaminants out of it. So while we're waiting on this, well, let me go look at the brisket and see how it's doing. Woo, smoky smoke. This is gonna be awesome, brothers. I tell y'all what, look at that right there. Look at that thing of beauty. It's just sitting here minding its own business, relaxing and getting so smoked and so perfectly flavored. Woo, I tell you what. Now I'm hanging out until it gets to be about 175 internal. Once that happens, I'm gonna take it and wrap it and then set it back in here at a lower temperature for, well, probably all night. I'm just gonna let it go nice and low and extremely slow. Ooh, it's gonna be good. So while we're still waiting on this, I don't know. Let's figure out what we wanna look at next. All right, so let's finish up our tallow. Now I've got my jar I'm gonna store it in. I was hoping for a bigger jar, but well, things happen. So we're gonna take our canning funnel, plop it in, and I've got my wire strainer with another paper towel in it. And I'm gonna set it up here right on this. So hopefully this stays and everything looks good. And well, we're just gonna pour, which as you see is pretty debris free, but this will be the one into here and ta-da, we'll be done. Just nice and slow pour, nothing too crazy. Just trying to keep it in the funnel, and it's starting to cool off now, so it's starting to go through a little slower. Well, that's the price you pay when you take too long doing cleanup. So while we're waiting on this, well, nothing else to do but wait. Here we have ourselves a beautiful brisket. Observe. Now one day I'll get them fancy gloves where I can just grab this hot thing and not care, but I don't have that yet. So for now, I'm gonna take this guy, fat cap up. We are gonna slide him right here. Woohoo! With the quickness. Let me get rid of this. We're gonna wrap this baby up in the pink paper. Now I'm gonna go ahead and spray it down just a little bit, just to kind of moisten the paper up some. So that way, well, you know, we want this brisket to be just right now, don't we? Yes, I should have done it before I dropped the brisket, but you know, sometimes you get happy. So we will just load her up. Grab her from the edges. And you see about how much overlap I got right here. So we got plenty to hold the juices in. We're gonna take and pull it down, kind of tuck it over a little bit. That way everybody's in there. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Come on. Give me a roll. Woohoo! Woo, look at that. Juice is already seeping out of it. So good. Let's see. We're going to take and tuck this back a little bit. And give me one more roll. That way everybody's sitting on it. I can feel my mohawk right here. And now we're going to reset it back in there. I'm going to pop my probe back into it right about right here in the middle. That way I get into a good thick spot, which is actually a whole lot more tender than when I stuck it in earlier. Back into the smoker. In this case, I started this guy at about, I think it was 8. No, I woke up at 8. Started this guy at about 10 o'clock. Should have started it last night, but I had company come over and it kind of threw off my plans. So we started it in the morning. It has pretty much cooked all day. And so now I'm gonna put it in the smoker, set it for 200 degrees, leave it all night, and pull it back off in the morning. Hopefully I don't break that. I want about 205, 208 on the temperature. And as long as that comes out right, oh, we're gonna be spot on. Now let's shove her back in there. Well, it is way too early in the morning, but our brisket is done. Let's take a peek at it. Our temps are right. Woo. The smoke is right. Let's see. Ooh, and she is hot and smoky. Oh yeah. That thing is just sliding in there with no resistance. Honestly, I'm just cutting this thing off and closing the door because I'm tired. It's been a long night. I'm gonna go back to bed, and for breakfast, I'm gonna have some brisket. I'll check back in when the big light comes on, not the little spotlights. See ya. All right, so like you saw, way early in the morning, brisket got done. I just cut it off and went back to bed. So yeah, we're not gonna get that steamy hot shot of the brisket, but we are gonna peek in here and see what we got. We're just gonna open this guy up. Yes, I know you could unroll it, but I wanted to tear into it like it's a Christmas present. Whew. Look at there, look at there. Got that nice, nice bark set on it. Let's pull it out of the paper here. Oh, well, come on now. I ain't gonna lie, it's trying to fall apart on me. We're gonna set it right here on the cutting board. And well, you know what's next. We gotta slice into it. We'll go ahead and come across right here. And I mean, oh, smooth cut. And how about you look at that right there? Matter of fact, how about you look at that right there? Oh, you wanted a juice shot? There you go. That's right, even after resting for, oh what, probably 3, 4, 5 hours? I'm not sure what time I recorded. I just got up and went out to check on it and it was ready. Man, this stuff is so, so good. I'm gonna cut me a nice, big old thick piece of it right here. You know, they do that test where they do the little thin slices, but as you can see, it even works with the thick slices. And oh, of course, you know we eating this. Yeah, we eating this. Man, I'm gonna fry me up some eggs for breakfast. I'm gonna chow down. But, you know what I'm gonna fry them eggs in? Tallow. That's right. Oh, you forgot about that part, huh? This right here, nice, clean, white. Woo. That's right. We got the lubrication for the pan to keep the eggs from sticking. Now, I don't know what else to tell y'all other than this brisket turned out perfect. It was a good, probably 18-hour cook on it. Like I said, I think I turned it off at about 3 o'clock, and now it's 8 in the morning. So it's had, what, a 5-hour rest, and you still got that many juices coming out of it? Guys, if you take your time and do this, it is really hard to screw this up. The tallow, well, you saw how we screwed that up, but that was kind of an accident. Guys, y'all know that this brisket is absolutely amazing. The tallow is gonna cook up nice, and that Bigfoot is real hungry, and really about to get to business with the rest of the cooking. Y'all take care. We'll see you on the next one, because this is gonna power me till then. See ya. Once we have a little whoosh coming out. Oh, let me grab the grip. Let me grab the brisket. Golly. All right, and for our finer. This tallow is going to kill me.